It's springtime, and if you're thinking about planting fruit trees, you're more than likely looking at big box stores to get your fruit trees from. In today's episode, we're going to talk all about what to look out for so you get a good value and a good quality product from your big box stores when it comes to getting fruit trees. There's a lot of stuff out there you want to avoid, and there's a lot of things that you can look out for that are just going to help you grow more food and help you have a better success with your fruit tree orchard, or just even a couple fruit trees at your home. So we're going to talk about all different kinds of fruit trees. We're going to have apple, pear, peach, plum, cherry, all those ones that you're going to typically want to plant at your house. And we're going to go through some things to look out for and some things that are going to help you out. The first thing you want to look for, and this is with all trees, but we're going to talk about apples for this example here. You want to look for good branch angles. Now, a lot of times when these fruit trees come from the nursery where they're grown, they're real tall. And you might think a really tall tree is a really good tree. That's not always the case. Height is not an indicator of good health or really a tree that's going to be good for you. What you want to look for, and this is the most important thing, is good branch angles. They don't typically come pruned from a nursery either, which is why they're usually pretty tall. But good branch angles is going to be an indicator of good long-term health and structure. You see, down here, I picked this tree out because this has some stuff that's going to get pruned out. If we were to buy this tree, we'd prune some of it out. But there's also a lot of really great things that make this tree, one that you'd want to plant. So we look down here, right? So down here at the very base, we have the trunk coming up. We have a really good flat lateral branch right here. Then coming out in another direction, we have another really flat lateral branch here. Coming up this way, we have more flat lateral branches. If you wanted to prune some of these out, you could keep these ones. That's probably what I would do. But then you really only have, so on this side, you have another very flat lateral branch right here. You have some stuff that's slightly undesirable, but it could easily be trained. You could easily train this branch right here to be nice and flat. You'd probably clip some of these out because there's some overlap. But then coming up here, you have another flat branch and a fairly flat branch that could be easily trained. You don't have to do much at all. The only one that I would really prune out would be this one right here. This one right here, we talk about how the crotch angle is just way too acute. It's way too upright, meaning that this is more than likely going to break over time under heavy fruit loads or strong winds, something like that. You have a higher chance of this breaking and opening up the tree to disease. So I would probably bring my pruners in, cut this off, and then I would also cut this one off right here that's coming up, leaving this one main central leader. So getting something that's got good shape, don't go just for height. Height is only half that's only half the story. This one right here is a prime example of one that I would avoid. Okay, I would avoid this one. Here's why. This is going to be an absurd amount of work to get really anything that's of good shape. Check it out, look at this. So you have nothing over here, you have no scaffolded branches until you reach, quite literally, a 45-degree angle. I mean, maybe sharper than a 45-degree angle coming up on this lateral. Then, twisting the tree around, you've got a spot where they pruned. But what happened is there's two nodes actually grew, meaning you have a branch going straight up and another branch going straight up. This is a term called codominance. Usually you only want one main central leader. But when you have codominance, you have two main central leaders. Not only is that going to be spent energy in two separate places, but it also really discourages a lot of lateral growth. So you'd have to essentially cut this whole thing right out. You'd be left with one good branch, two good branches, another sharp branch here, and you ultimately be pruning way more than keeping. And so if you're looking at doing yourself a favor by spending $50 on a nice, really beautiful mature fruit tree or near mature fruit tree, you might as well just take a few more minutes to look through the bunch and find ones that have good branch angles. The next thing you want to look for is disease. This is something that is really common and you really have to look out for. Disease is going to vary based on fruit. So one major disease with apples is going to be fire blight. With pears, it's going to be fire blight. With a lot of your stone fruits, your peaches, plums, cherries, nectarines, it's going to be something like peach leaf curl, or it might be gunshot, or it's called gunshot fungus, and basically the leaves will look like they've been shot with like bird shot, basically. And you can find them on trees that have not been sprayed or been exposed to really humid conditions. A lot of times they will ship these fruit trees in from warmer climates, and if they're already leafing out, like a lot of these have already leafed out, I imagine they probably brought these in from, I would imagine, down south, because none of our trees look like this at all. And so when they bring them in from a much hotter, more humid climate, a lot of times they don't spray these trees. They might spray, but a lot of times they don't. And if they don't, you can get instances of fire blight, you can get instances of peach leaf curl. And the problem is once you have that, it can become really difficult to actually diagnose it and take care of it. You can, but you have to know what you're looking for. So it's a lot easier just to know what you're looking for right off the bat. So here's one that has fire blight, and it's pretty indicative of a fire blight strike. So what you'll notice, the tip here has what's called a shepherd's crook. And basically it's at the very top. The tips of branches will show fire blight more than other parts. And it's because fire blight is actually a bacteria that gets into the vascular system, but it enters through openings in fast growing flesh. So a lot of times when it's flowering, or if it's fast growing, if they have like a lot of nitrogen and it's really putting on a lot of tender new growth, you'll get a lot of this fire blight here, and it just looks like it's been scorched. And the tip here starts to kind of curl. It's no longer really tender. Like this is healthy. This tip here all looked scorched and brown. And as I pulled it down, some more leaves fell from it. And like this absolutely has some dieback from fire blight in the top. So I'm gonna do them a favor. You can remediate fire blight by removing about 6 to 8 inches down to healthy wood. So I'm just gonna do that for them because I don't want someone to buy that and get fire blight, because fire blight, it's basically cancer for the tree if it's left unchecked. Pears are the most susceptible to fire blight, so you definitely want to look out for that with your pears. So look over here. All these pears are really healthy. They look great. You just want to see, right here. Here's another example. Yep, so here's some fire blight. You start to see, look at this. See this black scorching? So this right here is a fire blight strike. This is where the fire blight is going to enter through this young bud here. See all that black? It just looks like it got absolutely scorched. That is fire blight right there. Pears are very, very, very susceptible to fire blight, and they can transmit the fire blight by just drifting and swaying with other trees. So you gotta be really careful. You gotta be really, really careful what you're looking for, but that is fire blight. Next, I want to talk about peach leaf curl, because that is probably the most common and most prevalent disease that affects your stone fruits at big box store plants. So if you notice a peach tree that has a lot of dead growth but is starting to grow back down lower, those are typically ones you want to try to avoid, because that shows that there's some peach leaf curl. Peach leaf curl is fungus that gets into the stem, much like fire blight gets into the stem of apples and pears. And what happens is it kind of cuts off the vascular system, and initially it causes a lot of like lesions. You'll notice that the peach leaves, as they form, they'll get really like curly, and they'll have these big like orange and red kind of almost like growths or tumors on the lesions, as they're called, on the leaf, and it causes them to kind of get all gnarly and twisty. When they're really young like this, it doesn't typically show itself. One way you can tell is by sliding up these guards and checking to see if there's any orange sap leaking from the stem. If there's orange sap leaking from the stem, avoid it. That's actually the fungus that's blooming in the spring. Typically is going to bloom in the early spring, anywhere from the months, depending on where you live, from late February all the way up to even about like early June, depending on, again, just the season, the temperature, how much moisture is in the air, and where you live. But you definitely want to pull these guards up. Fruit trees at big box stores always have these guards on them, and that sometimes can really be masking some issues that you want to look out for. Not saying to avoid, You just gotta look out for them. Because honestly, like if someone gave me this tree right here, 30 bucks for this really healthy, beautiful peach tree, sorry, nectarine tree, I'd say heck yeah. Next thing you wanna look for is you wanna make sure that the roots are not girdling the stem. This is really important. And you're actually gonna find this out more when you go to plant it outside, but a couple things you can do to check it. So if you come in close, you'll notice they're in a pot here. And a lot of times they root these in a pot. And these trees, they will often leave them in the pot for quite a while. And that causes the roots to coil around and around and around. And what you want to do is just take your finger. It's vital that you do this. Absolutely vital. Take your finger and go down. Keep going down to make sure that these roots are not coiling around and around the main trunk. Now these fruit trees are grafted. That means that this rootstock was grafted with a, whatever this is, Stella cherry. So this Stella cherry was grafted onto another cherry rootstock. This rootstock here, you don't want it to get choked by the roots. And because if that happens, as the roots form and as the roots kind of solidify in their place, they're going to girdle, and that's basically choking off the nutrient, the flow of nutrients and water to the tree as it gets older. It's a really big problem. It's especially a problem in trees that just sit too long in pots. So make sure you check for that. Again, it takes no time at all to just do a little swab test, just to go down, make sure that rootstock isn't being choked out by the roots in the pot. It takes a minute, but I guarantee you, it's one of my last steps that I do after I find something that I really like. Check it for disease, check it for good branch angles. When I say, all right, I think I'm gonna take this home, that's where I check it to make sure it's not being choked. The final thing you wanna look out for is variety selection. I simply can't tell you how big of a mistake this is. Big box stores, they wanna carry something that's affordable, that has a good profit margin. It doesn't mean that they're always gonna carry the best varieties. Prime example is there's quite a few varieties here that just don't really do that well in our area. Would I grow them? Probably not, right? If you grew them, would you have different results? Maybe. But a lot of these apples, pears, cherries, peaches, there's hundreds of different cultivars. And big box stores, they're national. That means they send the same fruit trees to one location as they do another. And where one fruit tree might thrive, another one doesn't do as well. And so knowing those specific cultivars, actually doing your research, can help you decide. Because I hear it probably more than ever, where someone says, we wanted to plant an orchard. We decided to get a couple Fuji apples. We decided to get a couple Belle of Georgia peaches. They looked okay for the first couple years, but they just have not performed well. If you catch yourself saying that, that's probably because you got a variety that just is not geared for your area. And more often than not, it's just because these huge corporations, right? They're not geared towards you, the gardener, in your region. They're just geared towards efficiency and selling thousands of fruit trees to several hundred locations and getting out as many plants as possible. So do your research on specific cultivars, on which ones are going to be good, which ones are going to be less desirable, and try to pick those out. Because when you pick a variety that does well in your area and it's suited for your area, it's obviously going to grow so much faster. So I really want to thank Menards for letting us come out here and doing a video and not kicking us out, because I do think that big box stores are such an affordable place to get beautiful fruit trees. You just have to know what you're looking for. You have to know what to search for, what not to search for, and be able to decipher and pick quality. Because when they're done in mass like this, they're just not looking at quality for you. You got to do that. And so with those things in mind, you should be definitely well on your way to not only having much better success with fruit trees, but having a much healthier home orchard in the long run. And the final thing I almost forgot to mention you have to look out for is rootstock selection. When you're looking at different trees, a lot of times they'll tell you if it is a dwarf, a semi-dwarf. Sometimes they don't mention it. I would always go out of my way. If I'm gonna buy a fruit tree from a big box store, I will go out of my way to buy from big box stores like Menards. They do a really good job of advertising what rootstocks what they put their trees on. So for instance, right here, this is a Honeycrisp, and it's on a semi-dwarf. It tells me that it's gonna be about 10 to 15 feet tall by about 10 to 15 feet wide. I don't know the specific rootstock because obviously it does not tell me specifically which rootstock it's going to be on, but I would imagine, if they're gonna say semi-dwarf, it's probably on a semi-dwarf rootstock. And that helps me learn so much about the fruit tree that I'm growing, because if I don't know what type of rootstock I have, I can't properly prune it. Because if it's a dwarf rootstock, let's say it's a super dwarf, we're talking like 6 to 8 feet tall. Well, if I prune it like a semi-dwarf, I'll have pruned all my branches off and I'll literally kill the poor thing. If it's a dwarf and it's only about anywhere from 9 to 12 feet tall, I still need to know that because I'm gonna prune some lower leaves, but I'm not gonna prune this high up. Where if it's a semi-dwarf, I'm pruning as the tree is continually growing up. I'm pruning those as they're growing. So I need to know if it's a semi-dwarf. I need to know if it's dwarf, not only for pruning's sake, but how close I can have it to my house, how close I can have it to other trees. You don't want crowding, you don't want them smashing into each other, but you also want an efficient home garden. You also want an efficient orchard because it allows you to grow more food in less space. If I get all dwarfs, all semi-dwarf, it makes a big difference. It makes a huge difference. If they don't tell me what type of rootstock it's on, or if they don't tell me how large they're expecting it to get at full maturity, I would totally leave it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you all learned something new. As always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you all to grow bigger. We'll see you later. Bye.
Hey, thank you so much for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed, consider clicking this one. You'll probably enjoy it just as much. I want to thank you for your viewership, because without it, this channel would not be as amazing as it is. Also, if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. It's free, and we upload videos every Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. We also have vegetable seeds, fertilizer, or tools. If you need any of those, consider visiting MIgardener.com. Links will be in the description box below. We've got you covered. And as always, we'll see you all in the garden. Take care.